Hey everybody, Carnivore Mark here, just coming at you. I don't know if I picked the best time of the day for this. There's helicopter tours happening kind of all over the place. See, there you go. So that. So yeah, one of the benefits of, I guess, living where I live and working where I work, and yeah, I teach pretty close to the New York City area, so I get to hang out by the water sometimes and just kind of relax. So hopefully the helicopter is not too much of a distraction. But I wanted to bring in some really, really good news and some interesting news that I have my blood work results. Finally, that the secondary blood work results that I was talking about. The stuff that everybody's interested in, the cholesterol and the other stuff like that. So just to recap, in case you didn't see the last video, they had to run my blood work twice because I went to downloaded Common Sense Labs from Dr. Kiberi. Also, downloaded the blood work cheat sheet from Mike Mitchell, and I kind of combined all that, and then I asked for all those things from my doctor. Say, hey, these are the lab tests that I want. She did most of them, but the problem is when we came back to the first test results, my doctor told me, well, I do apologize. The routine blood work that we do, something happened. So we have all your specialty tests, but with the routine blood work, we're going to have to draw that again. So we drew it again, finally got my results back. So sorry for the long wait on this video, but here we are. This is what it's about. So I wanted to go ahead and go through some of that today. Again, I hope the helicopter tours that are going around New York City right now are not going to be a problem. I'm not in New York. I'm in New Jersey, but just, right across the river. So yeah, here we go. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to go through a little bit of each blood test. I don't want to take too long in the video because I do have other things that I need to jump into today. But, I was curious, a year on carnivore, what are my blood results going to look like? Are going to look all kinds crazy? Um, so anyway, let's just go ahead and get into that. Because with the results, I'm going to be totally, totally transparent here. Um, there are some areas of concern, not maybe what you might necessarily think of, but there are a couple areas of concern that I did wind up, figuring out how to address. But let's go through it. So first test here is a CBC with differential. So why did I want that? What is that all about? Because that's a lot of stuff, right? You got hemoglobin, hematocrit, MCV, MCH. All right, I'm not going to go through every single one of these values, except to say the reason why you want to do a CBC with differential, basically it's to, okay, I got two helicopters right now. So basically it's to check for things like anemia, infections, any blood cancers, your ability, checks on your ability to fight infections, checks to see if you have any nutritional deficiencies, how well you respond to injury. So it checks for all those things. And as you can see, just kind of going down in general the list, I'm right smack dab in the middle of all these values. So I'm, maybe a little bit on the lower side, I don't know. But, for the most part, I'm right inside of the values. So that's looking good. So my kidneys are working fine. My ability to fight infection is great. No anemia, infections, or blood cancers. So then we move over to the CMP. That's a comprehensive metabolic panel, right? Because that's something we want to know as well. So this is basically, what our glucose levels look like, the bun levels, creatinine, all those sorts of things, which of course, we can get into later if you're curious about, but you can do Google searches and find out what that's all about. But if I was to kind of summarize, what it's going to tell you, what the CMP complete metabolic panel is going to tell you, is basically the goes over the body's fluid balance, right? Your levels of electrolytes, how well the kidneys are working, and how well the liver is working. So again, now with the exception of one value, which I'm going to show you, I was initially a little bit concerned about, but then I'm going to tell you why I'm not. That albumin. Everything else is right in line. And but by the way, sorry for the black lines. I just didn't want to, you know, uh, have, any private personal information, on here. So I just kind of scratch that stuff out. Um, so the albumin, right? That typically, that's something that tells me my protein levels, pretty much, from what I understand. Maybe you can give me a better description in the comments, but it's basically what I'm understanding here. So it's looking like it's a little bit low. So my understanding is that in order to correct this and bring that up, probably what I'm going to do is dial back on my fat intake just a little bit, not too much. I mean, I'm experiencing awesome healing and fantastic effects and energy from the fat that I'm eating, but I'm probably going to dial back the fat, maybe dial up the lean meats that I'm eating a little bit. Maybe that'll kick up my albumin a little bit and get at kind of back in the range there, if it needs to be in range. If you are a doctor, because I'm not a doctor, so if you're a doctor and you know a little bit more about this, you're like, no, keep doing what you're doing, you're fine. All right, then I'll take your word for it. But if you tell me, yeah, it's the right thing to do, or if you have another approach, a carnivore approach, I don't want to go eating, having to take extra supplements and things like that. It's not why I got on the carnivore diet. Got on the carnivore diet so I get rid of all the medications. I get rid of having to take supplements. There's really only two main things, maybe three main things that I do. That is outside of strict meat consumption and water and butter, I guess. And that would be I do take an iodine supplement, basically the Lugol's drops, right? I put 2 or 3 drops in my bottle of water each day. And I'll take a vitamin D tablet when I'm not outside. Today's an outside day, but it's a little chilly, so I'm wearing the jacket. So maybe that'll, I'll take a vitamin D again for today. All right, so anyway, that's about the albumin there. Everything else looks like it's fully in check. Let's go to the next ESR sedimentation rate. Went over this on the last one. Basically, my value is way down to a 2. It's a problem as you go 15 and up. Basically, this is showing that I don't have any risk of heart disease, right? It's part of that. Check my hemoglobin A1C. All right, so this one, interestingly enough, even though it's a value of 6 and that's above the reference range, my doctor said that she's not worried about it at all, which surprised me because she was the one that was really upset that I was not on statins, that because my cholesterol was a little high the last time I saw her. So then now that I'm not on statins, or since I'm not on statins, she was very upset. And then when I came back and she saw the blood results, she's like, you know what? Due to the rest of your blood results, which I'm going to show you also, I'm not worried about this at all. Okay. So I looked into it a little bit further, by the way. Took a couple of notes. Turns out, now she didn't tell me this, but as I researched it, because I was a little concerned myself, like, okay, there's a high range. What's going on? Turns out that a lot of times the carnivore diet can falsely raise the A1C because it makes red blood cells live longer. I mean, makes sense. Since A1C measures, the glucose bond to the hemoglobin, longer living cells are going to have more because they're going to collect a little bit more, thus a higher A1C. So they live longer, so they're going to be collecting a little bit more, but it's just that's all that it is. And then as the red blood cells die out, then so does the that level of A1C. So it's my A1C is probably going to be a little bit higher in that regard. All right, so let's see what's next. What do we have? All right, the C-reactive protein. All right, this here, C-reactive protein, that is basically an indicator to the presence, the severity, and the cause of inflammation. So inflammation in the blood. So we're talking about the kind of a more true predictor of heart health and heart disease and what your risk factor is. So as you can see, and this I actually shared in the last video, they just did it again, and it looks like I'm at the same value, excuse me, as the last time. So reference range being 0 to 3, I'm at a 0.49. Relative risk for future cardiovascular event is low. It's half of low, so it's like basically near 0. So there's no risk of heart attack here. So anyone who tells you, oh, you're going to get on that carnivore diet, that's not going to last you long term. That's not sustainable. You're going to have problems with your heart. Well, you can say, look, I mean, we'll get your blood test, and hopefully your score's going down. But hopefully you have a blood test like mine, and you can show them, say, look, my reactive protein is way down low. I've been on this for a full year, and I don't have any risk of heart disease here. Now here's the fun one. This I was worried about, because what is that, right? My triglycerides at 173, reference range goes to 149. I figured going into this, yeah, my cholesterol is going to be up a little bit. Of course, it's what we're using to move around all the fat and everything like that, or the fat rather. Basically, we're moving all our nutrients around, and we're not utilizing sugar at all. Matter of fact, that's damaging to cholesterol. So yeah, I'm going to be moving a bunch more fat around in my body. Not to mention, since I'm not using sugar for energy and I'm using fat, I'm going to be tapping into my fat stores in order to get this, in order to get energy and to, for my body to do what it needs to do. I'm going to tell you why I'm not too overly concerned. I'll admit, I'm a little concerned about the triglyceride level, but I think I understand why it's the number that it is. And again, let's check this guy out. Let's see if I can find him. Catch him somewhere over there. I'm really bad at pointing this camera. Cloud cover is not helping me. All right. So anyway, all right. So why are my triglycerides high? Now the LDL, that makes sense. I'm using fat. Just period. I'm eating fat. I'm using fat. No sugar involved. So why are my triglycerides high? I didn't realize at the point that I took the test that I was fasting for longer than I should have. All right, I was fasting for 17 hours, not on purpose. I ate at 5 p.m. the night before, and I listened to my body. I don't eat when I'm not hungry. I eat when I'm hungry. So I wasn't hungry for the rest of the night. I wasn't hungry when I woke up in the morning. I wasn't hungry when I went to the doctor's office to get the blood drawn. And so by the time I hit or I got my blood drawn, it had been 17 hours since I had last eaten. What I've seen since then on, say, Ken Berry's channel, some others, is that at minimum, for these blood tests, you want to try to fast 12 hours, 14 hours at the most. I was 3 hours past that. Now, true, our body doesn't necessarily look at a clock per se, but you figure at that point, my body is looking for energy, so it's going to access the fat stores. What's that going to do? That's going to go and start dragging all this stuff and all these nutrients out of these fat stores to start circulating them around the body. So what's going to happen? Well, yeah, my LDL is going to show as higher because now I thought it was going to be a lot higher than that, honestly. So, but LDL is going to be shuttling around these nutrients at a higher rate at that point because my body's looking for the nutrients at that point. I've been fasted for 17 hours. Not only that, but because these nutrients, including the triglycerides, are a part of those fat stores, that's going to show up more in my bloodstream as well. So that's how I see it. Now, Dr. Robert Seuss, I apologize if you see this, doctor. I'm not trying to butcher your name. I really don't know how to pronounce it. I have to watch more of your videos to get your name down correctly. But he suggested basically to try to find a way to spike the insulin in the bloodstream without too much of a blood sugar increase. So, what he suggests is milk or like half and half. So I'm going to play around with that. I'm going to drink, some half and half, some cream, some milk, and that should spike the insulin a bit without going crazy or haywire on my blood sugar levels. So that the insulin can go into the bloodstream and move these things around, maybe more efficiently or what have you. So that's my plan for the triglyceride levels. Something happened. This zoomed out. It's not what I'm looking for. There we go. All right. Next up, what do we have? The the PSA total prostate specific. Um, this I saw as a potential to get checked, and I definitely wanted it checked because my grandfather on my father's side passed away of prostate cancer, and so yeah, that's always in the back of my mind, thinking, I mean, now the more and more we research, the more and more we look, we're finding out that cancer seems to be more of a sugar issue than anything else. So they're calling it basically what, like the fourth or fifth diabetes at this point. I know the third diabetes being like dementia, Alzheimer's, because as we pull people away from sugar and more towards animal fats and those sorts of things. I mean, a lot of people get better. Maybe not necessarily everyone, but it does help a lot of folks. So I wanted to get this checked out, and as it looks like um, yeah, I don't have any risk of prostate cancer here. I'm at a zero point 0.7 out of 4, so there's really plenty of range to go. So let's see, let me go to the next one here. TSH, RFX, unabnormal to free T4. All right, so I saw this and I was like, what the heck is this? What is this all about? So let's see, I'm going through some papers here that I took some notes on about it. So what I found out is that this is basically a measurement of your pituitary gland and your thyroid. So checking to see if there's any dysfunction there. So because if there's any dysfunction, then your body's going to be getting all kinds of messed up hormones and situations. So technically, it is the TSH hormone that your pituitary gland produces that controls how much T4 the thyroid gland produces. So as long as those two are in check and they're good balance, then everything is all is well with the world, essentially, with your pituitary gland and your thyroid. So in my case, I have 0.894 and the reference range being 0.450 to 4.5. So I'm in range. So that looks good. All right, next up. Again, don't have to go too much through the urinalysis. Everything's in range. So it looked like there was a tiny bit of blood, but it was nothing to be concerned about because it was like barely anything. And yeah, I got ketones floating around. I'm not surprised, because that's what my body runs on now. My body's running on ketones. It's no longer running on sugar unless maybe I eat too much or something, and then it's got to burn off that glucose that the protein turned into. All right, vitamin D levels, pretty good. I wouldn't mind if that was a little bit higher. Say a range from 30 to 100, 34.5. All right, I can up my vitamin D intake. I don't mind that. And that is it. Those are my blood test results after a year. So, I mean, at that point, it was like a year and a month after starting Carnivore. When I started Carnivore, I was really concerned about what my blood levels were going to be. I knew there was healing involved. When you start the Carnivore diet, there's healing. There's all sorts of things that happen. Reversals of chronic conditions that I was seeing all over the place. And then I experienced myself on this diet, and I have other videos to talk about that. But I was worried about, okay, am I trading off one thing for another? So am I trading basically, being sick and injured and chronically ill with, say, a shorter lifespan? So am I going to feel better now and be well and die younger because all the scares and stuff like that, red meat and all those sorts of things? Well, I hope you can figure out by now that after a year of eating, bacon, eggs, chicken with all the fat, as much skin as I can get my hands on, snacking on butter all the time, beef, 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 and more beef, red meat all the way, lamb, all this kind of stuff. After a full year of doing that and nothing else, my blood work is fine. I hope you can see that it is possible to live long term, having a happy, healthy life on the carnivore lifestyle. So if you're worried about your blood results, again, I'm just a regular guy. Got an office job, teach guitar lessons on the side. Um, but I do my research. If there's a research that I came across, you have a question, just ask that question. I'm happy to help. Show me, yeah, let me know if your blood results also came out clean, or if you're worried about your blood results and what that might mean. If I have an answer, I'll provide it. Maybe someone else, if you see that somebody has a question, feel free to hop in. I totally want this to be a community. So, this shouldn't be a matter of the Kenberry community or the Homestead How community. This should be the entire carnivore community. So all of us working together, helping each other out, helping each other do the homework, helping each other find studies, find videos, find resources to help each other. And I know a lot of folks in the carnivore community are doing that, myself included. I'm looking to grow this channel because I eventually am going to be putting out more analyses of studies like that LDL study that I just did last week, and just more life experience. Just maybe some videos on how to enjoy life more. I don't know. It's just all I know is that from one year to the next, my life has changed. My job was pretty much the same. The stuff I did from day to day was pretty much the same, but my life changed. Why? Because my outlook on life changed. What I was able to do changed. All that chronic pain and illness and disease that I was fighting changed, went away. So when you can do things that you couldn't do before for decades, it changes you. So I want to be able to help as many people as possible in this space. I love to do homework. I love to do research. So if there's anything you want me to look into, I absolutely will. And yeah, just continue sharing your stories, your experiences with carnivore, any of your doubts, any of your questions. And if I can answer it in a comment, I'll go ahead and do that. Or I just might go ahead and make a video, from that nature. Okay. That said, if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching this far. And if you haven't started yet, go ahead and jump in. Start the Carnivore Challenge. It's a 30-day challenge. That's it. Some people say, let's go into 90 days. Well, you know what? Let's start with 30 days. You can do anything for 30 days, right? People start New Year's resolution. They'll go to the gym for the first month, right? So do a 30-day carnivore challenge. Try eating meat for 30 days only. And if you find that you're not better off as a result, no problem. Go back. You know, go back to the old way of eating. But if you find that it changes you as well as it has for thousands of others like myself, then go ahead and let me know. That's all I have for you today. I do hope that I was able to help somebody in this video, but I did want to stay true to my word and share my results. That's it. It's Carnivore Mark, and I'll see you guys next time.